Welcome to Hex Wars, a chaotic tank combat game for 1 or 2 players inspired by the online browser game Tank Trouble. The original game has been reimagined with a futuristic science fiction theme, placing players in more complex, changing maps built from a destructible hexagonal grid. Players fight enemy tanks and reshape the arena with bullets, laser beams, spikes, splinter bombs, and guided missiles, picking up health packs and energy shields along the way. Ideation for the project was carried out democratically, with each member of the team submitting a list of inspirations and the team eventually voting on their favourites, with Tank Trouble and a game in the tower defence genre eventually winning out. These 2 ideas were subject to early paper prototypes, the Tank Trouble concept being sketched out physically, and the tower defence concept being drawn up on presentation software. The Tank Trouble idea won out among the team and in early feedback, driven by a clearer twist on the original game. The design phase continued with a more involved prototyping process, with each member of the team independently producing a bare-bones software prototype of the game individually, giving everyone an early insight into the engineering challenges involved and experience with programming P5.js. From there, we developed a class diagram outlining a minimum viable product, a 2-player game mode pitting a single tank versus a single tank, without game menus and alternative modes. As the product developed, our design expanded to include these additional elements, leveraging code that had already been written to control key gameplay interactions. The destructible hexagonal grid-based map system is a core innovation of the game. Maps are created using a modified depth-first search approach based on controlled neighbour visitation, guaranteeing full connectivity of all cells and multiple non-linear paths through the map. Our enemy AI system powers single-player mode with intelligent enemy tank behaviour. This uses the A-star pathfinding algorithm to find short routes to the player tank or in-game pickups, with each enemy tank making decisions based on player proximity and awareness of its own health status. We took accessibility and sustainability seriously on the project. In order to make the game more accessible to colorblind users, an epic we developed earlier in the software lifecycle, we abandoned a naively chosen red-green color scheme due to its impact on that user group and added functionality to allow players to select their own colors. Late in the development cycle, we also implemented touch controls for the game, enabling players to access the game on devices they already own, and giving an alternative to players who may struggle with keyboard input. And we took inspiration from the Green Software Foundation's design patterns, using modern file formats and minimizing the storage footprint of graphical and audio game assets. Following the extreme programming philosophy of shared responsibility for code, the team did not assign work in a rigid and segmented way, and used techniques like pair programming to give individual developers a holistic understanding of the entire codebase as it was developed. But specialisms did grow organically over the project, and the team leveraged the emerging expertise of individual developers to work effectively, with Yasser, for example, leading on development of the map generation algorithm. Work was structured in weekly sprints throughout term time, centered around weekly in-person sessions that incorporated aspects of agile sprint review, sprint retrospective, and sprint planning, with work broken into tickets and assigned collectively on our GitHub Kanban board. One major area of future development for the game could be the implementation of online multiplayer gameplay and saved state. Because we developed the game in a privacy-oriented way from the start of the project, we have currently opted to limit the game to local single and multiplayer, with a relatively short single-player campaign that does not benefit from saving. But designing options to play online with friends remotely, or to save your progress in an expanded single-player mode that requires more than a single session to complete, would be a worthwhile challenge, calling on the team to devise solutions that deliver meaningful user value while elegantly resolving questions around data collection and user privacy.